The video will begin in approximately 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm muting myself now, Michael.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. And we are fortunate to be able to share an increasing intensity of energy as we approach the WESAK moment, which will occur in terms of universal time, GMT, at 11:08 and 37 seconds on the 17th. This is the most sanctified period of the year, a time when one can feel subjectively beneath all phenomena the gathering of tremendous energies, the energies of certain planets, of certain rays, and of the constellation Taurus, as well as the great forces of enlightenment which bring increasing illumination to humanity. So it is a time of major opportunity for every esoterically, spiritually minded individual. And I know that with the sense of the intensifying energy, we are all anticipating a deepening of our spiritual life. As we see in this I think you see my screen. Yes, you do. We have the sign Taurus, which includes in a way both the sun and moon imagery. The sun is encircled in the zero, in the O, in the great sound which pours forth from the monadic plane, and the crescent of receptivity suggesting the consciousness of the greatest light with which Taurus is deeply associated is also present. This is the Buddha full moon, the Buddha, one of the two great saviors of humanity, cooperating with his brother, the Christ, to bring the East and West together, to bring the moon chain and the earth chain together, to bring even more remotely the previous solar system and the present solar system together. We have as rulers for Taurus the luminous planet Venus from the exoteric perspective, and that planet ruling the ajna center of man, and the downward pointing arrow of Vulcan in its red-orangey color, ruling both esoterically and hierarchically. In other words, both in the life of disciples and aspirants, as well as in the life of initiates who have passed the third initiation. The great mantram referring to the single eye, the blue eye with which the deep blue of Taurus is associated, I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. And there is a variation of this as well. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is light. All is light. The Jofre depiction here is rather exoteric, but certainly shows us the relationship of Venus to Mars. Venus is astride the white bull of the purified and powerful personality, wearing the garland that brings all into fruition. We can associate perhaps Taurus with the will to fulfillment and somewhat with the second ray, although the fourth ray of harmony through conflict rules primarily. The woman, also crowned with the garland, is carrying the flame, which is the symbol of the light. In that light we shall see light. It is the great sign of illumination. The High Priestess, the second tarot card, can be seen in the distance, and this has to do with the tremendous consciousness of which Taurus is capable. The luminous consciousness. Mars is not looking so very happy. He is in detriment in Taurus, and he rests on his shield, although, since of Taurus we can say exoterically, let struggle be undismayed. Mars certainly has its place adding to that struggle. We have here an image by Dwayne Carpenter. It's a very intricate and powerful. It emphasizes the first and the fourth rays, the fourth ray coming constellationally through Taurus, and the first ray certainly through Vulcan, which is the ruler on two accounts. I suggest that you go to light-weaver.com and look at the marvelous images which Dwayne has created. And I think what is indicated here is the tremendous luminosity of the forehead of the bull. The eye of the bull is not only the ajna center, although its luminosity comes out through the ajna center. Really, the eye of the bull is the central eye, the etheric region around the pineal gland, which is also called the blue eye or the eye of Shiva. And everything about Taurus overcomes duality through the single eye. We have the two eyes here pictured, they are dual. We have the two horns pictured, they are dual. But it is all resolved within the central mechanism, which comes into activity when the head center is prominently activated and its influence extends into the center of the etheric brain, which some have called the cave and which Master DK refers to as the indigo disc in the middle of the head. We are also privileged to have Francis Donald's image This is one of them, and we will see Master DK in the indigo disc. But this image particularly of the Buddha from a cosmic perspective. Francis describes this, and I think the best thing I can do is to read his words. This month's image puts us high above a Himalayan valley at the time of the great Taurian WESAK festival. Below, we can just make out members of the hierarchy as they solemnly weave their geometric patterns with measured pace. We have heard this described by Master DK, and the pentagram is the symbol, the foremost symbol in which the masters configure themselves, though they configure themselves variously. And the triangle there is, I suppose, that which surrounds the Christ, who will occupy the central position. The Buddha is blessing us with one of his mudras. It is the Saturn finger with the thumb of will. We might assume that this is an indication of the Dharma, although probably there are other interpretations. The central eye is keenly represented here, as well as the halo of light. These masters, Francis goes on, chant their mantram in preparation for the great event. He's quoting here Alice Bailey in Letters on Occult Meditation. As the moment of the full moon approaches, the Buddha appears at the upper end of the valley and moves to a place above the hierarchy. All of this is done, I think, on the etheric plane. We were there in 2000 for the Shambhala impact, and it seemed to be an etheric event. Here is shown drawing, he is shown here drawing cosmic energy down through his aura into the vortex that links him to humanity. And Francis goes on to quote DK, during the WESAK festival kept so universally in India to this day, the hierarchy forms itself into a channel for the transmission of power and blessing from the levels on which the Buddha may be found. He acts as a focal point for that power, and passing it through his aura, pours it out over mankind by means of the channel provided by the assembled lords, masters, graded initiates, and disciples. The channel is formed by the use of sound and rhythm simultaneously employed, by the chanting of a certain mantram, by means of the slow measured movements that accompany the chanting. The funnel is formed that reaches upwards to the desired locality. The geometrical figures formed in the matter of the plane higher than the physical, which are the result of the geometrical movement of the concourse gathered in that Himalayan center, form themselves into wonderful avenues of approach to the center of blessing for the inhabitants, deva or otherwise, from that any particular plane. For those who can clairvoyantly view the scene, the beauty of the geometrical forms is unbelievable, and the beauty is enhanced by the radiant auras of the great ones who are gathered there. And this is from Letters on Occult Meditation, page 198. There are included here some references which would be good to refer to. At the time of this WESAK festival, says the Tibetan, I would call your attention to the fact that the annual return of the Buddha to bless his people everywhere and to convey the message of wisdom, light, and love to humanity, coming as he does from the very heart of deity itself, is the outer evidence and guarantee of inner divine guidance and revelation in this present world cycle of 22,500 years. Every one of these ages is considered to be actually 2,500 years given the overlap. Year by year he returns. For a brief minute, really 8 minutes, he reminds us that God exists and ever loves, that he is not unmindful of his people, that the heart of the universe is unalterable compassion, and that man is not alone. To bring this recognition about and to make this appearance possible, a living triangle of energy is created and focused through three great spiritual individuals who evoke recognition both in the East and in the West. They are known to believers of every faith and all nationalities, and these three are. And here the Tibetan lists these three: the Lord of the world, the Ancient of Days, Sanat Kumara, the planetary Logos, Melchizedek, he to whom Christ referred when he said, I and my Father are one. So that is one of the triangle. The Buddha, the illumined one, the revealer of the light and wisdom which comes to us from sources far greater than our planetary life, a messenger of the gods, fulfilling the role, I would say, of Mercury, so closely related to the constellation Taurus. And then the third participant, the Christ, the Son of the Father, the world's Savior, the Redeemer, who has remained with us and who is gathering his sheep into his fold, the Lord of Love. And I would say particularly associated with the planet Venus, one of the rulers of Taurus, the planet essentially of love, wisdom, a great sixth-ray, second-ray monadic planet, though a fifth-ray soul, I would estimate. In these three, whose nature is radiant love and light, humanity can grasp in some measure the nature of divinity. They are greater than is known or realized. Human intelligence and aspiration can only sense their essential nature. Their spiritual potency has to be stepped down if mankind is to bear the pressure of the impact of the energy they wield and seek to transmit. It is this stepping down process which takes place at the time of the May full moon, and that is the tropical May full moon, and it is brought to a focus of transmission by the massed intent of the hierarchy and the massed demand of the world aspirants and disciples, itself drawn forth by the massed need of the people of all lands. Here, my brothers, is a simple statement of the facts which must be grasped by all of you who seek to participate intelligently in the WESAK festival and who are anxious to act as transmitters of the spiritual energy which will, at that time, be poured out to suffering humanity. And this is from the Externalization of the Hierarchy, pages 286 to 288. Well, I think then, with these thoughts in mind, and with these beautiful images provided by the artists, we will then proceed into our meditation. This is really, of course, you know, a pre-meditation for the WESAK festival, meant to intensify our approach to the actual moment. Many of you will have your own meditations or will be participating in your own meditations, and so it is best perhaps not to hold this webinar at that time. But certainly this will be an intensifier for us. And we will work together. There are some 65 of us right now on the line, and maybe more will gather in. Over 100 now are registered for this meditation, so we'll see if they can join us. And of course, we seek to represent many people as souls in the world. We are doing this on behalf of humanity, for the benefit of humanity. So let us then work with this meditation. It's a meditation we have done on a number of occasions. It will not be a short meditation, but I am trusting that it will be worth our effort, and that the power of Vulcan to persist will animate all of us. We are not quite 12 hours before the full moon. They're a bit more than 12 hours, actually. And it will occur at 11:08 and 37 seconds a.m. Universal Time, Greenwich Mean Time. This is therefore a day of dedication, and in a few hours it will turn into the day of safeguarding, whereby we will receive and hold the energies vouchsafed to us by the great powers with whom, as a group, we are attempting to attune. And then the video and audio of this webinar should be available for you if you seek to use this at any time on the day of safeguarding, or on the 3 days of distribution, the day of registration, the first day after the day in which expectancy is sensed, the second day after, and the third day after the day of belief. So now we will begin our work together as a community of souls all over the world. We will seek to work in the closest soul communion. The text will be here, but I will, of course, as usual, improvise somewhat on the text according to impression. So we will begin with our alignment, with our pratyahara, with our withdrawal of our consciousness inward, finding ourselves as a point of being consciousness, and withdrawing the consciousness from the vehicles of the personality, entering deeply into the realization that we are the soul in incarnation, and as we tune out the lower worlds, tuning out the world of the senses, and then of sentiency, and then of lower mind, we discover the soul in incarnation which we are, and we discover that this soul is in fact the soul on the higher mental plane. We are as if focusing together, or at least receptive to the energies of the higher mental plane, where the ego or soul finds its residence, and we are feeling ourselves established within the field of spiritual light, spiritual love, and spiritual power. We are merged in the soul, and we discover that this soul, which we know ourselves to be, is part of a group soul. All those meditating here, not only our group, but all over the world, an intensifying of meditative energy. The members of the new group of world servers, the men and women of goodwill, we have a sense of merging with them in soul, all present, negating the geography of the situation. We are overcoming space together in the realization of the group soul, of all meditators. And finally, merging with the one soul of humanity. Those in the body, out of the body, but one soul, all included at all stages of evolutionary development. One omnipresent soul of the one being, humanity. Together in the gathering light, some more receptive in their personalities than others, but all influenced in soul by the great light of Taurus, all with a great opportunity for illumination. And as we are merging in this one soul of the one being, humanity, which we know as the truer identity we possess, truer than personal identity, we realize, in the words of Master DK, there is no my soul and thy soul, but only the one soul, the one consciousness, looking through many eyes, acting through many hands and feet, thinking with many minds, but the thinker is one. Naught is but me. The capital M, the one me of the one soul. naught is but me. The one soul. And in alignment with this, and as if merging with this, we who are meditating focus at a point of tension upon the lower mental plane, the highest level of the lower mental plane. As DK has told us, the true meditator has to hold a number of points of tension simultaneously. This is that point of tension on the mental plane, and let us call it a group point of tension on the mental plane, which must be fed, energized. We breathe it in from below, the lower energies of the etheric physical body, of the sentient field. We raise these energies into the group point of tension on the mental plane. We feel the intensity of our group point of tension, which is now to be intensified by the will aspect of the soul. According to your soul ray, or using the second ray, if you are not certain, intensify your point of mental tension with the will to initiate on the first ray, the will to unify on the second ray, the will to evolve on the third ray, the will to harmonize on the fourth ray, the will to act on the fifth ray, the will to cause on the sixth ray, and the will to express on the seventh ray. And from the group soul, the great second ray will pours forth, especially all other aspects of the will being subsidiary, the will to unify of the second ray. Let us feel the intensifying point of tension in the group mind. Holding this point of tension, we visualize the purified group astral vehicle from which, through imagination, a bridge is built towards the spiritual triad, touching first the mental manasic permanent atom, the Buddhic permanent atom, the Atmic permanent atom, all as if touching eventually the diamond, blue diamond light of the monad. And you will color your bridge with two colors according to your soul ray, the interior color, your personality ray, the outer color. Or you can imagine that you are on the surface of a great sphere, sending the bridge inward towards the center, the blue-white diamond as if in the center, whichever way you work. So visualize those two colors. They will be, whether for soul or personality, red for ray 1, indigo ray 2, green ray 3, yellow ray 4, orange ray 5, silvery rose or light blue for ray 6, violet for ray 7. Imagine your dual-colored individual bridge And when the colors are intense, you realize that your bridge is but one of many bridges which we can visualize all rising in a cone-like formation, all the 7 colors of the rainbow, upward, imaginatively upward, towards the blue-white diamond of spirit, or all moving inward towards the center of the sphere, towards the blue-white diamond. Many colors merging in the group Antakarana. And feel the power of this group Antakarana. Feel that together we are invoking the energy of spirit expressed through the triad and of pure being expressed through the monad. Let that energy intensify. And now we imagine that across the group Antakarana, a brilliant beam of light is projected towards the blue-white diamond. We will project together, affirming the second ray mantram, which you will repeat mentally to yourself as we sound the Om together on the second ray note. We will think, I see the greatest light, as we project the brilliant light across the 7-colored rainbow bridge. I see the greatest light. And we are as if attuned to the spirit, to the triad. Our group mind is infused with the group will of the soul. And all bridges are shining brightly in their appropriate colors. I see the greatest light. And in the presence of this great light, the light of the spiritual triad, attempt to feel the presence of the great white brotherhood, the Lodge of Masters, the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. They who will be especially looking towards humanity during the 12 hours preceding the full moon, and we are almost there. They are real. They are present. They are the saviors of the human race, promoting the purpose of Sanat Kumara via his plan. They are the elder brothers. And it is our privilege to co-work with them to the degree possible, attempting to be outposts of their specifically diversified consciousness according to Ray Ashram's they are as if very near. And so, with heartfelt gratitude, we offer our salutations to these great energy centers, really the impersonal energy centers which are the heads of the ashrams, but which we know as the names of the various masters. We will offer our salutations at this time, first to the Lord Buddha himself, positioned as he is in Shambhala, coming forth from the heart of God, the intermediary, the Lord of light and the Lord of wisdom. And you may speak this aloud. Salutations to the Buddha, the Lord of light and wisdom. We continue our group salutations. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we work most closely. Salutations to the Master Moria, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, the coming Christ of the age of Capricorn, and he who supervises the externalization, the reappearance of the Christ. Salutations to the Master Jwal Kul, who trains aspirants for initiation and who has given us the great teaching we study. Salutations to your own Master as you conceive him to be, the one with whom you are now aligned or hope to be aligned. Salutations to the entire hierarchy of masters, the heart center of our planet. We express the spirit of cooperation towards these members of the spiritual hierarchy and the hierarchy itself. May we learn to represent them ever more completely through our service to our fellow human beings and to the planet. And we raise our thought still more subtly along the Antakarana, together with concerted power and consciousness, towards the center where the will of God is known, the great center of purpose on our planet. And with deepest reverence and humility, identified together in group soul, we attempt as a group to attune to the all-pervading presence of Sanat Kumara, standing at the center of Shambhala. He who is the king, the highest example of the teaching ray upon our planet. And as we sound a long silent Om, we imagine the group imbued with his energy, and as much of the energy of purpose and will as we can possibly absorb in the group. For this is indeed the time when the Shambhala energies are uniquely available. And thus we must absorb as we can as a group. Infused by this energy, we imagine the group to be a brilliant point of being, consciousness, light. And that point is as if poised on a golden pathway. First of all, let us feel our nature as but a single luminous point together. And the golden pathway leads towards a sun within which is the radiant indigo disk. And as if in the center of that disk is the consciousness, the presence of the Master Jwal Kul. And so the pathway shortens, the golden pathway shortens, until it is absorbed within the indigo disk. We find ourselves imaginatively within the indigo disk and in the presence, and as if outposts of the consciousness of Master DK, a moment to attune to this presence. As it may pervade our consciousness, and assist us in our invocation, our group invocation of the great streams of energy which are now available to us in this time immediately preceding the Taurus full moon. One group, many points, which are but one point, and one consciousness, together, as if in the presence of this Master of Light, Love, and Wisdom. And so we begin, under this influence, to turn our imagination towards two planets, the planetary rulers of Taurus, Venus, the elder sister of our planetary logos, conveying the light and love of the soul, teaching our logos and all the monads who are an aspect of our logos, the nature of pure love, wisdom, and Vulcan, the downward pointing arrow of manifestation, the first ray, fourth ray, ultimately second ray planet associated with the heart of the sun. But for our purposes, conveying the spiritual will of the atmic plane, the nirvanic plane, with which the Buddha is so much identified, having achieved this atmic nirvanic consciousness through a great power of will. He was possessed of the first ray and of the first aspect of the second ray. And may that will, which made achievement through self-reliance possible for the Buddha, be absorbed by us, so that we may likewise achieve. So these two planets you may visualize: Venus in the rose color or deep indigo blue, which are the more esoteric colors, and Vulcan in the red-orange. First Venus, we ponder on Venus, and we may as if see Venus in our midst, in the midst of the group, its glyph, the circle above the cross, the circle of spirit having triumphed above the cross of matter. Venus, conveying the beauteous light of the soul, the light of the solar angel and of the group solar angel, and ultimately of that great solar angel on the cosmic higher mental plane, which ensouls the causal body of the solar logos. Attuning as a group. With this energy of love wisdom which illuminates the consciousness and stimulates our higher manas, our abstract mind, so that it may be sensitive to buddhi, the intuition, the pure reason, which Venus has so well achieved at this stage of its development. Venus as if in our midst, the beauty, the purity, the peace, the light. We absorb. Sirius, Venus, the Earth. And the light of the group soul illumines the group mind and fills it with love and wisdom, so that we may have a group mind held steady in the light of love wisdom of Venus. We breathe in its energies, its colors. Present through every one of us and through all of us collectively and increasingly through humanity. The Venusian stream of energy infusing us, touching our heart, our ajna center in its lighted aspect, filling the group soul with its quality. And filled with this energy, we see our group, our groups, humanity, and we will breathe forth on the sound of the Om, and we will use an indigo note, the note La, the note A. Where do our groups need this energy? In our relations with each other, in the group love which can be expressed, the group soul love, wherever this energy may be needed, we will breathe it forth on the indigo stream sounding the Om, enriching our groups and humanity as a whole. As a group, we are now more aligned with Venus. We do not drop that alignment, but we move forward into the power of Vulcan, conveying esoterically the will of the soul to grip the personality and bend that personality to its will. The Buddha needed this Vulcan to achieve what he achieved. You can visualize the red-orange downward pointing arrow. Feeling the individual soul grip the personality, bending it to its will. Feeling the group soul grip the group personality, bending it to its will. We can visualize Vulcan in the very midst of the egoic lotus, its power, bending all we are in the three worlds to the spiritual will as the soul knows it. And we are strengthened. And we carry forward pondering on its hierarchical meaning. For Vulcan is also the hierarchical initiatic ruler. It is the adamantine spiritual will of Atma, the highest aspect of the spiritual triad, which demands, enforces persistence in the quest for the greatest light, despite all obstacles to enlightenment. The endurance aspect of Vulcan until the greatest light shines. I see the greatest light. This is the will which the new group of world servers needs to stand with massed intent, illuminating humanity. As the Ajna center of the planet illuminating humanity. This is the will which all initiates need to persist on the path to Shambhala. The power of Vulcan into our group, flowing into our group, or as is said, flying like an arrow into matter. Strengthening each of us individually, strengthening our groups, strengthening humanity. Teaching us finally something about the will. And we look towards our groups. Where is the Vulcanian energy needed? May every member of the group be fortified. May the group as a whole be fortified in carrying out the plan originating on the Atmic plane, where Vulcan participates in co-rulership, strengthening the group as a whole, and we will, since Vulcan and the Sun are one, we will sound the Om on one of the first ray notes, the note D, which is the Sun note according to HPB, and we direct, the group directs the strengthening current towards its groups and the world. love wisdom of Venus, spiritual will of Vulcan, and Vulcan and Venus must merge even as the crown and ajna must merge. Together in the center of the head they both direct and illumine. Now, in imagination, towards the Solar Logos, the great heart of love, wisdom, in our solar system, and we use our imagination to feel, if we can, the great second ray of the Solar Logos pouring through every atom, every cell, every unit of life. The one God of our solar system, but a tiny aspect of the one universal God, but for us, a great deity of love, wisdom, the heart center of a cosmic logos. God is love. And the final victory will only occur in our solar system when this great deity has taken his fifth cosmic initiation, which may well occur in our system, and we will all know, feel, and be God is love. With great gratitude and absorbing what we can touch as a group, we sound the second ray note, Om, God is love. Now we are ready to move towards the major energy of this time, streaming from the constellation Taurus through the Solar Logos and into the sign Taurus. This energy radiating the penetrating light of the path. This is a beam of light streaming forth from the point in Aries and revealing the area of light control. The penetrating light of the path, for from the central eye, through the power of the unifying light, we may control our lives and the lives of humanity, the area of light control. Penetrating the highest form of aspirational idealism coming forth in this sign. The greatest light, akin to the greatest light, the mother of illumination. And now feel as we can the energy quality of Taurus, its profound relationship to the fourth ray of beauty, the beauty of the inner light. Let the beauty of the inner light reveal the One. Taurus fourth ray, through Vulcan first ray, through Venus fifth ray, and many rays, still more subtle. The forces of enlightenment through Taurus, bringing about the eventual revelation of the purpose and plan of our planetary logos. The forces of enlightenment through Taurus, so that our planet may become a sacred lighted sphere, which interiorly we are told it is. And finally, the mantram itself, which we will ponder in silence, referencing as it does the inner eye, the eye of Shiva. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. We ponder. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. All is illumined. All beings are seen in the light, as light. All is light. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. Light is matter. Light is substance. All forms are light. It is the task of Venus and Vulcan, inspired by the Mother of Illumination, to reveal all form as light. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined. We are under the pressure of the great light, the great stillness. The point of absolute quiescence, that time of the year when peaceful, silent will, as it is known in Shambhala, can be slightly impressed upon us. The full moon is just in 12 hours and a half from now. And if we could stay in the presence of this substantial light, we would be presenting a worthy vehicle to the powers that be. The powers that be, from the very center the hub of the wheel, the Pleiades of perhaps 1,000 stars, the constellational externalization of the one about whom naught may be said, our particular one about whom. Through the zodiac itself, the great 12-petaled lotus in the crown of this supercosmic deity, and localizing in the constellation Taurus, the mother of illumination, and beaming towards our solar logos, who receives and adapts this energy for the purpose of all planetary logoi and all beings within and upon them, and to the earth via Vulcan and Venus. A triangle is formed, Vulcan, Venus, and the earth at this time. Into Shambhala, where the will of God is known, and under the law of assembly, Sanat Kumara and the great lords receive the energies which must be distributed. And into every monad in spirit, and into every soul through hierarchy and the great Lord, the Christ, and through every soul, through all energy centers, subtle and etheric, and into the body of all. The great illumination sweeps in, stimulating a high point of spiritual stimulation that can now be received. And this energy will go forward. It will go forward into humanity via this alignment, bearing the light, bearing the forces of enlightenment, bearing an illumined understanding of the divine plan as much as we can receive it. And our mind, our imagination goes into humanity, into the troubled areas where the forces of enlightenment must make their impact. Where are these forces most needed? Attempt to see, to visualize where most needed. If there are dark clouds hanging over some areas and portions of humanity, as DK said there were, these forces of enlightenment can dispel, dissipate, disperse these clouds. And thus, we will direct on 3 ohms the Taurian energy carried on the Taurus mantram which you can think, or on a mantram which you conceive. And we will bless this troubled area and humanity as a whole with this stream of deep blue light, as the Tibetan called it, from Taurus. 3 blessing ohms, aiding humanity. And through the next 12 or so hours, climaxing in the full moon, and for 3 days following, we remain in the light, blessing humanity, thinking nothing personal. As DK said, banish all personal thoughts. Willing individual and group vessels for humanity, for higher purposes, willing and open. And we will close our meditation, preserving our high alignments and speaking the great invocation as if in unison with the Christ, and who knows, as if even with the Buddha, followed by the sacred word 3 times on the second ray note. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men. The purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. I have great gratitude for all of you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the group approach and the power of this pre-WESAK meditation. We had an international group as always, and some 68 meditators simultaneously. Tomorrow, well, today really, at 11:08 and 37 seconds, Universal Time, Greenwich Mean Time, and for 8 minutes from that moment, that impressive 8 minutes, we are, to the extent possible, in group communion with the Buddha, the hierarchy, the initiates. May we hold that point of tension successfully and at such an intensity that it may be possible for all of us individually and in our groups to take a significant spiritual step forward, which will make of us better instruments for the great ones in these troubled times so filled with potential. We will have a copy, audio and video of this webinar available to you as soon as we can, and you will receive word of it. Thank you for participating in this meditation.